is clear and did get clawbacks of is foreign assistance. However, there's an exception. In June, the administration announced it would give $30 million to this Israeli-backed organization called the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, the GHF. I know you're familiar with it. It delivers aid through armed military contractors who stand behind the Israeli military in 4 designated zones that Gazans then have to get themselves to in order to receive the aid. The State Department says they're sending this money. Have they?
To my knowledge, they have, although we've asked for the details. We haven't gotten them. In fact, just today, I'm sending a letter to Secretary Rubio, signed with 20 of my colleagues, calling for more information, but also calling for defunding this. American taxpayers should not be spending 1 penny to fund this private organization backed by mercenaries and by the IDF that has become a death trap. Over 1,000 people have died from being shot and killed as starving people crowd to try to get food at just these 4 sites.
Just to be clear here, the State Department says they're going to send $30 million. Reuters had reported that there were documents they obtained showing $7 million had already been sent to these, what you called, armed mercenaries. But the Trump administration says this is the best way. This is the only way to keep food out of the hands of Hamas, which financially benefits off reselling it to desperate, starving people. Is there another way to feed desperate, starving people?
Yes, and this is a big lie. The claim that when the UN organizations were delivering food to Palestinians, civilians, that it was being systematically diverted to Hamas. I want to say loudly and clearly, this is a big lie.
The systematic part of that.
The systematic, but that is their claim. They claim that essentially large amounts of aid are being diverted to Hamas. What we know now from testimony of American officials, Cindy McCain, and just this week, high-level Israeli military officials, is that there's no evidence to support that. USAID just released a report saying there's no evidence to support that. So what the Netanyahu government did was scrap a delivery system that was working at delivering food and assistance in favor of this other effort. That was a pretext, this claim that Hamas was systematically diverting food. The real goal of this other effort is to use food as a weapon of war and population control.
That's a violation of international law.
Yes, it is.
That's a human rights abuse. Senator Lindsey Graham was on Meet the Press this morning, and I want to ask for your reaction to something he said, because he was very strong in his words. He said because the ceasefire talks fell apart, Israel's reassessing. He said to expect a full military effort by Israel to take Gaza down, quote, like we did in Tokyo and Berlin. They're going to do in Gaza what we did in Tokyo and Berlin, take the place by force, start over again, present a better future. The United States is a huge supporter of the state of Israel. Is there anything that could prevent what he says is about to happen?
Well, the United States should make very clear that it's unacceptable to use U.S. weapons to target or indiscriminately fire on civilians and civilian infrastructure.
Does this sound like an occupation?
Well, we also know just this week, members of the Netanyahu coalition, in fact, government ministers, called for essentially erasing Gaza, and they said it will become a Jewish statelet. And part of so this was one of the...
Netanyahu did say he didn't agree with this.
Well, here's the problem, though, Margaret. We continually see that Netanyahu, at the end of the day, does cater to his most far-right wing of his government. People like Ben-Gvir, people like Smotrich. That is what has allowed him to stay in power. And so at the end of the day, he takes the most extreme positions.
Senator Van Hollen, thank you for your time today. We'll be right back with a lot more Face the Nation. Stay with us.